The lost city of Atlantis, myth or reality? The lost city of Atlantis has long been one of the greatest and most enduring mysteries of human civilization, a legend that has traveled through time for more than 2 millennia. Capturing the imagination of philosophers, historians, explorers, scientists, and dreamers from every corner of the globe, a tale so rich in wonder and tragedy that it has refused to fade away, no matter how much the world changes. And at the heart of this legend stands the Greek philosopher Plato, the man who first recorded the story more than 2,300 years ago in his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, where he spoke of a mighty island nation that had existed 9,000 years before his own time. A place larger than Libya and Asia combined, blessed with fertile lands, abundant resources, and an unmatched naval power, a civilization so advanced in architecture, engineering, agriculture, and governance that it seemed almost supernatural for its era. And yet, according to Plato, this great empire lay beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the narrow strait we now call the Strait of Gibraltar, stretching into the vast Atlantic Ocean, and there, in the heart of this paradise, stood a magnificent city built in an extraordinary pattern of concentric circles of land and water, connected by bridges and waterways, with a great canal bringing water from the sea into the innermost ring, where a grand temple dedicated to the god Poseidon rose in splendor, its walls covered in gleaming gold, its columns plated in silver, and its roof decorated with ivory and precious stones, and in this city lived a people of remarkable strength, intelligence, and beauty, the descendants, Plato said, of Poseidon himself and a mortal woman, a race that mastered the seas, traded across distant lands, and built an empire that stretched deep into Europe and Africa. But as time passed, wealth and power bred arrogance and greed, and the people of Atlantis turned from the virtuous path, becoming corrupt and unjust, and in the eyes of the gods, they had fallen from grace. So the gods decided to punish them, sending a series of catastrophic earthquakes and floods that, in a single day and night of misfortune, swallowed Atlantis into the ocean, leaving no trace behind, only the restless waves where once a mighty empire stood. And from that moment on, the story of Atlantis began its journey through history, inspiring countless theories and debates, for some took Plato at his word, believing he was recounting an actual historical event preserved in ancient records, while others saw it as an allegory, a fictional story meant to warn humanity about the dangers of pride, moral decay, and the abuse of power. Yet whether truth or fiction, the idea of a lost advanced civilization buried beneath the waves has proven irresistible. And through the centuries, explorers have sailed the seas searching for its remains, scientists have examined geological evidence for clues, and adventurers have chased whispers of its location to every corner of the world. From the islands of the Mediterranean to the depths of the Caribbean, from the windswept shores of the Azores to the frozen wastelands of Antarctica, and in each proposed location, fragments of evidence, ruined stone structures, strange underwater formations, ancient maps, have stirred hope, only to raise more questions than answers. For example, the volcanic island of Santorini in the Aegean Sea, once home to the flourishing Minoan civilization, suffered a cataclysmic eruption around 1600 BC, an explosion so powerful it devastated nearby lands, created massive tsunamis, and plunged the region into chaos, an event that some believe could have been the real-life inspiration for Plato's account. While others point to the mysterious Bimini Road in the Bahamas, an underwater formation of large rectangular stones that some claim are the remains of an ancient man-made harbor or road, though skeptics argue they are naturally formed beach rock. And then there are the strange satellite images showing geometric shapes off the coast of Spain, leading some to believe they may have found the sunken city, though definitive proof remains elusive. And alongside these scientific and archaeological pursuits, the legend of Atlantis has attracted a wide range of more fantastical theories, some suggesting that Atlantis was not just advanced but possessed technology far beyond our own, powered by massive crystals or unknown energy sources. Others claiming it was inhabited or guided by beings from another world who brought their knowledge to Earth before disappearing, and still others imagining that survivors of Atlantis escaped the disaster, carrying their wisdom to Egypt, South America, and other ancient civilizations, which could explain why great structures like the pyramids appear in different parts of the world with no clear connection between their builders. And in more speculative corners, Atlantis is tied to stories of time travel, parallel worlds, and civilizations hidden deep beneath the oceans even today, unseen by modern eyes, but for all the theories, for all the expeditions and technological advances in ocean exploration, no universally accepted evidence of Atlantis has ever been found, and so it remains suspended between history and myth, a puzzle with missing pieces. A story both tantalizing and frustrating in equal measure, yet perhaps its power lies not in whether it is true but in the way it speaks to something deep in the human spirit, a longing for lost knowledge. For the idea that humanity may have once reached heights now forgotten, and that somewhere, beneath the waves, the remnants of that greatness still rest, waiting to be discovered, and so the search continues. With submarines scanning the ocean floor, divers exploring ancient wrecks, and satellites mapping the hidden contours of the seabed, while storytellers and filmmakers reimagine the legend for new generations. Each adding their own twist, their own vision of what Atlantis might have been, and through it all, the city endures as a symbol, a mirror reflecting both our highest dreams and our deepest fears, reminding us that even the greatest civilizations can fall. That the line between triumph and ruin is fragile, and that the past may still hold secrets capable of reshaping our understanding of history, and whether Atlantis was a real place swallowed by the sea, a memory of a disaster passed down through generations, or a creation of Plato's imagination, it remains a testament to the power of story, a beacon calling us to explore, to question, to imagine, and to never stop searching for the truth. For in the end, perhaps that is what Atlantis truly represents, not a city of stone and gold, but the eternal human quest to uncover what lies just beyond the horizon, in the uncharted depths of both the ocean and the mind, and as long as the waves crash upon the shores and the stars shine above the waters, the legend of Atlantis will continue to echo across time, whispering its secrets to those willing to listen, daring each generation to ask the same question: was it real, or was it only ever a dream? The name Atlantis itself has roots in the ancient Greek language, derived from Atlas, the titan of Greek mythology who was said to hold up the heavens, and its literal meaning could be interpreted as Island of Atlas, or Land of the Atlantic, suggesting that even its name tied the city to vast, oceanic mystery long before anyone began searching for it, and when Plato first spoke of it in 360 BC, Greece itself was in a time of philosophical flourishing but political turbulence. Still feeling the aftershocks of the Peloponnesian War and wrestling with questions about the ideal state, governance, morality, and the rise and fall of nations, which makes it no coincidence that his tale of a once great power destroyed by its own corruption mirrors the cautionary moral lessons that philosophers often embedded in their allegories. Yet as his works spread and were copied across centuries, the Atlantis story took on a life of its own, carried through the Roman Empire, whispered through the monasteries of medieval Europe, and eventually reimagined by Renaissance thinkers who saw it as a symbol of the perfect but tragically doomed society. And in the age of exploration, when European navigators set out to map the unknown world, many of them carried the idea of Atlantis with them, drawing it on maps in the uncharted waters of the Atlantic or speculating that the newly discovered lands across the ocean might be remnants of this fabled empire, with some early explorers even claiming that the indigenous peoples they encountered were descendants of the Atlanteans, a theory now dismissed but one that reveals just how far the legend had reached into human imagination. And interestingly, Atlantis is not alone in being a story of a great city swallowed by the sea, for similar myths appear in many cultures across the world, such as the Celtic legend of Wise in Brittany, France, a city said to have been protected by a sea wall until its gates were opened by betrayal, letting the ocean rush in, or the Indian tale of Dwarka, an ancient city described in Hindu scriptures that was said to have been the home of Lord Krishna before being lost to the waves, or the Japanese story of Yonaguni, where divers have found mysterious underwater stone structures that some believe to be the remains of a prehistoric civilization, and these parallels raise the question of whether such stories are merely coincidence or whether they reflect a shared memory of ancient coastal cities destroyed by rising seas or natural disasters during the end of the last ice age when melting glaciers caused ocean levels to rise dramatically. And modern geological research has indeed confirmed that massive floods and sea level changes occurred around 12,000 years ago, roughly matching Plato's own timeline for Atlantis, though whether this is a true connection or simply an intriguing coincidence remains unresolved. And what makes Atlantis so enduring is not just the possibility of it being real but the way it taps into a deep human yearning for lost knowledge, a sense that perhaps we are not the first to reach certain heights of civilization. That others may have come before us, mastered arts, sciences, and technologies we can only guess at, and then vanished, leaving barely a trace, a thought that has both humbled and inspired generations. And in recent decades, the search for Atlantis has become intertwined with some of the most exciting advances in ocean exploration, as deep-sea mapping, autonomous underwater vehicles, and advanced sonar scanning have revealed entire submerged landscapes on the ocean floor, ancient riverbeds, cliffs, and plateaus that hint at a world long drowned, and while none have yet provided definitive proof of Atlantis, they have shown us that our oceans still hold vast and unexplored mysteries, more than 80% of the seafloor remaining uncharted, making it entirely possible that something extraordinary still lies hidden in the depths, and so Atlantis continues to function as a kind of blank canvas upon which each era paints its own fears and dreams. In the Renaissance, it was a symbol of the ideal state lost to human flaws. In the age of exploration, it was a possible map location waiting to be found. In the modern era, it is often imagined as an advanced civilization whose secrets, if recovered, might solve our own problems. And this adaptability is what ensures the legend's survival, for it is not just a static tale but a living story that shifts shape depending on who is telling it and why, and perhaps that is why, even if Atlantis were discovered tomorrow and fully explained by science, the myth would not die but simply transform into a new chapter, as the human heart will always long for the mysterious, the unreachable, and the thought that somewhere, just beyond the horizon, something incredible might still be waiting for us to find. Do you believe Atlantis was real, or just a myth? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this join into the depths of history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories from the past.